I'm going to say something that's going to sound completely wrong to most people, and I want you to hear me out before you click away. If you're a high earner, let's say you make $200,000 a year and up, and you're maxing out your 401k plan every single year, you might be making the single most expensive mistake in your entire financial plan. Not because the 401k is bad. Don't worry, we're not those guys. It's not. The tax deduction is real. The employer matches free money. But when you run the math all the way to the end, past the accumulation phase and into your 70s, the picture changes drastically. And almost nobody's showing you that picture. Here's what I mean by this. Let's use some real numbers. A 40-year-old earning $250,000 a year. They've been maxing their 401k since they were 30, and at a 7% average rate of return, and assuming they keep maxing it with $24,500 a year, today's limit, plus maybe a $5,000 match, here's what happens. By age 65, that account could be over $4 million. And here's the part most people don't realize. At age 73, under current law, and 75 in the future, the IRS is going to require them to start taking money out, whether they need it or not. Those are called required minimum distributions, or RMDs for short. That first RMD on a $4 million balance, somewhere around $150,000 a year. And that's just the first year. The RMD percentage goes up every single year after that. By age 85, you could be forced to take out $250,000 or more annually, and all of it being taxed as ordinary income. Now you add in Social Security income, pension income, dividends from a brokerage account, interest on CDs and high yield savings. You can kind of see where this is going, right? A high earner who did everything right, who saved diligently and maxed their 401k for 30 years, can end up in a higher tax bracket in retirement than they were during their working years. That's not a retirement plan, that's a tax trap, and it's completely avoidable. So what should you be doing instead? Well, you don't stop contributing to your 401k entirely. That's not what I'm saying, but you do stop treating maxing it out as goal number one. Here's the framework that we use with our clients. First, make sure you have enough accessible cash as a foundation for emergencies. We recommend a minimum of 3 to 4 months of expenses, but 6 months is always preferred. Second, contribute enough to get the full employer match. It's free money. Never leave a single dollar of that on the table. For most people, that's 4% to 6% of your salary, not the full $24,500. Third, fund a Roth IRA either through the back door or directly. A married couple can put $15,000 a year into Roth IRAs right now, and that money grows completely tax-free. No RMDs, ever. No tax bill in retirement. For a high earner, this is priority number 2. Fourth, fill out the 401k to the max limit for that tax year. And fifth, this is where it gets interesting. Start building your taxable brokerage account earlier and more intentionally. Now, I know, Patrick, I don't get a tax deduction on a brokerage account. You're right, I know. But here's what you do get. You get flexibility. You can access that money anytime at any age with 0 penalties. And when you take gains, they're taxed at long-term capital gains rates in most cases. For most people, that's 15% or 20%, instead of ordinary income rates, which could be 32% or 35%. So let's compare real quick. $1 in your 401k at age 70 gets taxed at your ordinary rate, potentially 32% or higher. $1 of long-term gains in your brokerage account gets taxed at 15% or 20%. That's a 12% to 17 percentage point difference on every single dollar. Do that math over 20 years of retirement, and we're talking 6 figures in tax savings, maybe even 7. Now, I can hear the objections already, so let me go ahead and address them directly. Objection number 1, but I'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. And you might be, let's be real, but the gap between your working bracket and your retirement bracket is often a lot smaller than people think, especially if you saved well. A $4 million 401k plus Social Security can easily push you back into the 24% or even 32% bracket. And that's just assuming tax rates don't go up, which historically they have. Objection number 2, my employer matches, so maxing makes sense. Well, it makes sense up to the match. Beyond the match, you're trading a tax deduction today for a tax bill tomorrow. That trade might still be worth it in some cases, but you should at least know you're making it intentionally. Objection number 3, taxable accounts are, well, taxable every year. And yes, you do pay taxes on dividends and capital gains distributions from the underlying investments, but a well-structured portfolio with some low turnover ETFs or index funds is remarkably tax efficient. We're talking maybe 30 to 50 basis points of tax drag per year. On a $500,000 account, that's $1,500 to $2,500 a year in taxes. Compare that to the $30,000 plus tax bill you might face on RMDs later, and the trade-off gets really, really clear. The point isn't that 401ks are bad. It's not. Again, we're not those guys. The point is that maxing it without a plan for the other side, without building tax-free and taxable assets alongside it, is like putting all your money into a house with a balloon payment you haven't even read the terms for yet. So here's the principle that ties all of this together: tax diversification. When you're 65 or 70 and living off your portfolio, you want control. You want to be able to look at your tax situation each year and decide, ideally with an advisor, where I should pull my money from. In a year where the market's down and your income was lower, you pull from the pre-tax accounts. You're in a lower tax bracket. The hit is minimal. In a year where you've got gains in your brokerage account, maybe you pull from a Roth, tax-free, no impact on your overall tax bracket. In a year where you want to make a large purchase, a second home, a big trip, helping a kid with a down payment, you pull from the brokerage account at capital gains tax rates. That's called control. And the only way you get control is if you build all three buckets, not just the one your employer handed to you. If all your money's in a 401k plan or a pre-tax IRA, you have exactly one option: take the distribution, pay ordinary income tax, and deal with it. That's not a strategy, that's a default. I'm not anti-401k. We are far from it. The 401k is one of the best documented wealth building tools we've had in history. The employer match, the automatic payroll deduction, the tax deferred growth, all of that is real and valuable. But for high earners, the advice to max it out, no questions asked, is completely incomplete. And in some cases, it's actively harmful because it treats a tax deferral as if it's a tax elimination, and it's not. The bill does come due, and if you haven't built other buckets alongside it, that bill can be a lot bigger than you ever expected. So if you take one thing away from this video, before you max your 401k this year, ask yourself, do I have enough money going into tax-free and taxable accounts? If the answer is no, you've got some rebalancing to do. If this has resonated with you, I've got a video on the full financial order of operations that goes deeper into the step-by-step framework. I'll link that below. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.